I am, well, I've just finished my Masters in Museum Studies at the University of Glasgow. So the project I'm going to talk about has come about as part of that. It was actually my dissertation project, which was originally, the idea came from Ruth Fletcher, the education manager at the Hunterian, which was to use the Hunterian's collection management system as a way of creating educational resources. And we weren't really sure what direction this was going to go in, but we looked at the Hunterian's collections and decided to try and capitalize on work that was already being done to sort of capture the mood at the minute. So it ended up with two outputs, one of which was around batteries and renewable energy, to try and relate that back to COP26. And the other one was all about art and migration, because that was a project that De Brockner was working on. So if I share my screen, let me find the resource. There we go. There. So this is actually the final output that we had. It's centered all on Polish art, and specifically the art of Janka Malkowska, who was a Polish artist who fled Central Europe in the Second World War and settled in Scotland. So in choosing to focus on her, it was because we thought it might be quite a relatable story to a lot of people, especially centering in Glasgow, which is where the Hunterian is based, because obviously there's a huge amount of migration to that area. And we thought by focusing on this, it sort of ties it into something that a lot of students will know about. Going to secondary school in the UK, you do a lot about the Second World War. So it's to sort of tie it to the prior knowledge, but also send it in a new direction, because migration is something that's not often talked about. So we specifically tied it to the curriculum for excellence. Initially, we were looking just at expressive arts, but a lot of the expressive arts curriculum is exclusively about creating art, which could be a part of this, but we weren't intending for that to be the main focus. So we tied it a lot to social studies, and also health and well-being, how art can help us talk about our feelings and our past and create relationships based on that. So basically the resource here, we've got a brief introduction, just sort of explaining what the resource is. It is aimed at, it's called levels 3 and 4 in the curriculum for excellence, but that's sort of like early teenagers, so 11 to 14 or so, around that age range. So you've got the introduction, like I said, and then further down we've got related topics, which is 4 other paintings from Malkowska, which all sort of explore different areas. So if you click on one, it brings up some questions, and the intention was that these would be a starting point for teachers to start discussions in their classrooms. So the first 2 are quite personal experiences. So here you've got, why might someone choose to come to Scotland? What can those from other countries contribute to Scotland? And what does it mean to you to be Scottish? So that's sort of considering national identity a lot in that one. And then this one's a little bit broken, so I'll show you on the next one, but it should be, if you click on here, it should take you to a bit of information about Malkowska's life. So if we click on the next one, this one is centered on different cultures. So this piece was actually inspired by a ballet, if I'm correct. So here we were trying to get people to think about sort of folk stories that might have come from other cultures that people might be familiar with, and the way that we interact with other cultures in our daily life. And then if you click down here, yeah, you've got a little bit of an explanation about this painting, the fact that it comes from a ballet, and it's still something that's performed today. And then if we go back, we've got 2 more. So we've got emotional responses and methods of making, which are more of the art and health and well-being side of things. So emotional responses asks you to consider what you might be looking at, what the artwork is, what feelings the artist might be trying to put across, but also how looking at it makes the viewer feel. So that's to sort of try and get students to discuss their feelings, but also to tie it in a little bit with the last presentation, the empathy that they might feel for the artist in what they're trying to get across. And then if you click on this one, it's got a little bit of an explanation about Malkowska and her links to Scotland. So whilst this resource was kind of specifically created with a Glasgow focus, because it's intended for people close to the Hunterian, it has got that link to other areas across Scotland, so it might be relevant to them as well. And then finally, we've got methods in making. So this one is all about sort of the actual process of creating the artwork, how it's created through wood cuttings, and then asking students to be quite observational when it comes to it. So comparing it to other techniques they've seen, this one actually at the bottom has 2 pieces of art as part of it, with the intention that people can compare and see different techniques, what they might like more about one versus the other, things like that. So just to get them to talk about what they like and dislike. So like I said, this is more explicitly art than the other parts are. And then if you click on these, they've got a little bit of an explanation of how wood cutting takes place. Yeah, it's quite a simple explanation of the process, but the intention with these ones was that maybe not with wood, because obviously that's quite a complicated process, but it could be used to then go into an art lesson where people could create similar prints, even if it was something like potato printing or something like that. So that's quite a brief overview of the whole resource that we've created. Like I say, it is intended for the Curriculum for Excellence, so it is quite Scotland specific, but there's no reason that it couldn't be tailored to other curriculums with a bit of love and care. And just to say that this resource is part of a pilot, so I only finished it in August. So we've not actually had a chance to gather feedback from educators yet to see how they're finding using it. That is something the Hunterian is working on this year to sort of understand how it's being used in the classroom and see people's feedback. Yeah, I think that's everything. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone's got any.